spreadsheet. But now you're visualizing it. So if you take the data visualization, every data point here is clickable in real time. The data behind is fed into this graph here. And I can, if I'm interested in a specific element here, I can actually click on 27% of direct traffic. And I can drill down deeper and understand the data behind that. There's social media stats here. There is the number of visitors, how the site is used, the total number of visits over a time period. And this is, technology allows this creation, and this is driven by Drupal. So instead of creating manual graphs and sort of spending hours analyzing Excel spreadsheets that go back and forth between different people, presented in a visually pleasing manner, it's way easier to understand. I can look at it and understand it faster, and decision making is really enhanced with this kind of presentation. Here's another example of USA.gov. Obviously, all the data is dummy data. They're looking at how many people visit our website, how many people return, how many stay, what's the bounce rate, and average time on the site. And this is really important data for large websites that focus on big data and important information to understand how do we drive user experience, how do we drive usage out of what we're trying to sell. And it's the same data presented in a data visualization format. You can look at the total, the big ones are highlighted, the number of searches conducted, and then you can click on each of these in real time and be able to drill down into specific data points. The World Bank went on a mission about 18 months ago to try, make all of the data transparent. They wanted the public, the government, the NGOs, and the stakeholders be able to access every project that the World Bank funds. And as you know, the World Bank funds billions of dollars in developing nations. So they came to us and said, we've got all this data in a spreadsheet. We track everything. But how do I make it public in a way that people can use it and people can make meaningful sense out of it? So we created a real-time map. Again, this is Drupal-driven. At the front end is a real-time map that allows users to drill down to any specific region. In this case, we're looking at Kenya in Africa, and we're mapping every single sector and activity and project. And I'm able to drill down. I'm going to show you a demo of this. Here you see we're looking at Kenya. Now I'm going to click on transportation. I want to see some data behind transportation. The map changes, the data on the right-hand side changes. Now I'm looking at telecommunication. There's more data points that show up. Now I want to look at the medical facilities and what projects are funded in the healthcare sector. And I want to look at it by count. And all this data is shown up on a map. It's got bubbles, and I want to drill down deeper. I click on a bubble, and then I can drill down into the information here. If I want to look at a different infant mortality, for example, I click on infant mortality, the different data points that show up. Again, I can drill down into data within a specific region. I'm looking at the provincial data right now. If I want to look at district data, then I click on district data, and the district data shows up. And now I want to look by count again, and the different bubbles show up. So this is just one little sector. And if you look at the data on the right-hand side, the legend changes based on what you're looking at. This data changes, and so does the overall summary. And this is just Kenya. And you can pretty much, if you go to maps.worldbank.org, it's accessible, you can play around with it and see the technology that drives this. And it's a really important tool for the World Bank. The World Bank has invested millions of dollars in this tool. A lot of other organizations are jumping on the bandwagon of data mapping. And it's a really cool way to present information. And what the World Bank is really trying to do here is not just push out data that doesn't make sense to us or is not relevant, but instead they're trying to increase transparency and governance in everything that the World Bank does and how they fund projects. This was done about between 12 to 18 months ago, and we went live some time back, and it's being used heavily. And this project was a big success. It's called Mapping for Results, and this has now led to some other data mapping projects. So we're looking at, for example, and I'll show you in a second, this is data about when the money leaves the bank, where is it going, and how is it, what sector is it being spent on, and in what region. And then you think about the other end of the spectrum, where citizens on the ground in Kenya might say, well, the money came in. They said they were going to build a school. But how does the World Bank know if they're really doing that? So now we're building another mapping technology technology that allows citizens on the ground to provide feedback via text messages and SMS to tell us, actually, it's been 5 years, and there's not a single hole in the ground. What's happened? And now the World Bank can start collecting the data and imagine the applications to governments, local implementing organizations. There's a lot of stuff that happens just because of data visualization. Now, I work with a lot of clients. I run a design firm, and I work with a lot of different types of clients. And some of the common themes I see across every development, group of development project, or any project for that matter, clients often are the stonewalls. They prevent you from producing a very good product for them. And here are some of the things that I hear, and you might be familiar with this. We need this done now. They don't have time. They waited 6 months to tell you what they need. And now they've got a deadline of 2 weeks before they lose their funding. So they say, I've got the money, but I've only got 2 weeks. I need this done now. And that's a huge hindrance in big projects. As you all know, every project goes through a big life cycle. And Drupal development isn't a joke. There's a lot of work that happens before that. We've got project planning, we've got information architecture, and then we've got wireframes, and then you've got to do the design, and then you do the implementation, custom coding. We're not even going to testing, but they want it done now. And that's a huge wall we need to overcome. Another thing, we just want this to work. Some clients have certain functionality in mind, and they just want that to work. They don't care about anything else. I just want this to work. And it might be certain teams within the client organization. It might be the sponsor. It might be a stakeholder. But they just want that to work, and that defines success for them. But for me, when I deploy a project, the success is not making one person happy. Success is driven by the users, end users of the site. How do they use it? Do they come back? Do they find it meaningful? Are they using the data? That's really the real success message. As long as I can collect data and run reports, I'm okay. So organizations like the World Bank or the government have a ton of data, and they want to be able to run reports and analyze this data. So they hire us to build a site that's supposedly to be used by anybody and everybody. The data is available. But the person who's paying for the project wants certain kind of report. As long as those reports can be pulled, I'm okay. SEO. It's a huge topic right now. People pay thousands of dollars to get them on Google rankings, get people to the site. But the real question to ask, getting me there is fine. We've got technology and good experts to do that. But am I going to stay there? And what defines that? It's the experience once I get there that really defines am I going to stay there. And that's really the real success factor, getting someone to your site. Take Facebook, for example, Google, for example. You can get someone there, but these companies will make no money if they don't revisit and they don't stay and they don't click on those ads. So how do you find a way to engage the users of the site to be able to continue to keep coming back? Functionality versus design. This is a really important topic in any Drupal development project. And I do this a lot of times, my team does this a lot of times. We focus and spend a lot of time on developing functionality specs. So we think about how the site should work, what the functionalities are, what modules should I use in Drupal? Is this supported by a module that's available in the open community? Or do I need to custom code it? All of those different things and how they tie together. So we spend a lot of time doing the information architecture and drawing the technical map together. Well, we don't spend as much time or money on design. So, a couple of years ago, I was talking to the CEO of a startup company which went public in the Bay Area. One of the things he said to me, he said, Ashwin, you might have the best idea possible, but if you don't know how to sell it, don't waste your time coming up with the idea. And I relate to this because how do I sell it? If I can't market it, if I can't get users engaged and have them buy in, then there was no point to the functionality. And I've seen a lot of projects fail this way. Great functionality, great development, strong, robust architecture, but people are not using it. Think about the iPhone versus the BlackBerry from a user experience and functionality standpoint. BlackBerry is pretty popular a few years ago, and now it's kind of going down. But if you think about why that is, the iPhone, how many of you here use iPhones? How many use Androids? How many use BlackBerries? I do. So, Blackberries were really popular back in the day, and it still is with government a lot, with some business owners a lot.